Hello and welcome to the Video Game Book Club. We read our first, no, what was it called? With the short stories?
Novellas?
Novellas! We read our first
I
novella.
would think it was a short story collection, which
That's
is a
true.
little different.
You think it was like a full book? How long was it? How many pages was it?
Let's see if the epilogue is. So, not counting the epilogue, which is weird, 332 pages, but then there's another story in here. So, that's like 10 more pages. So, it's like 345 probably.
It was like a 7-hour audiobook, which is pretty short and nice.
Yeah.
In comparison to what we've been reading. Anyway, this is Lally's game.
Five Nights at Freddy, Tales from the Pizzaplex. Number 1, Lally's game.
So we're skipping ahead a little bit. The last FNAF book we read was the first one ever made, and that's its own series. And there's a bunch of different novella short story series, and I skipped ahead to Tales of the Pizzaplex because I'm excited for FNAF Security Breach DLC Ruin coming out, and that has to do with the Pizzaplex. But we shouldn't have skipped ahead because there's stuff in here that's from the previous novella series called Fazbear Frights.
Is that Jessica?
That's the Jessica beginning first fatality. No,
that
fatality.
Was really confusing, and I have questions.
Frailty, yeah. So that one is connected to Fazbear Frights, which is the previous novella compilation. And oops, I skipped ahead, and I shouldn't have. So I am sorry, but we read these and we're going to talk about them anyway.
I'll read the back here in just a second, but this is rated teen, ages 12 and up. It's kind of violent at some point.
12-year-olds love violence.
And we have technically 3 authors, though Scott Cawthon is the creator of Five Nights at Freddy. So his name is larger on here than the other people. So I feel like it's a James Patterson thing where his name's on there, but he didn't actually write it. And then we have Kelly Para and Andrea Wagner.
I think it's Wagner, yeah.
And you said you looked up who wrote what story.
Yeah, I was on the wiki. I don't know if it's 100% true, but the wiki said that Kelly wrote the first book.
That would be Frailty. So
story, and Andrea wrote the last 2.
There's 4 stories because there is an epilogue, although it's not listed as an epilogue or anything. It's just kind of stuck at the end. Frailty, and then there is Lally's game, and the third one is under construction, and then there's, again, after the author's note and all that, then there's a story at the end with Gil. What would we call it? Let's name that story.
Oh god, it's just about the exoskeletons. I mean endoskeletons, my bad. I messed that up last time. I felt really bad.
I think I named, because I renamed all these stories as I was reading and taking notes. I said Gil makes bad choices.
I think it was an okay choice until he
consequences.
I mean, it wasn't a bad plan.
Shortcuts.
It was a good idea. So I read the audiobook. It was narrated by Suzanne Elise Freeman, and she has a very nice voice. Very sleepy time. Listen to it before you go to bed.
Does she distinguish from because there's basically 3 main female characters, I would say?
I wouldn't say that. She has 3 female voices that she does.
Okay.
It's like a Valley girl, and then I am older voice.
So the cover is done. The cover of the book is by Jeff Shake. It is a green door with a child robot.
It's a weird robot child. It's supposed to be Lally.
Which they barely describe.
Yeah.
In the book. I could not picture it. I didn't feel like it looked like that.
That doesn't really look like a robot. It looks like a crash test dummy.
Yeah, with like those kitchen gloves, those.
Oh yeah,
it's not got the outfit is.
It looks rubbery.
Gloves. And then the robot child is looking out the door, and there's 2 hands on its shoulders. It definitely looks like a dude's.
Definitely that one guy from the
story. So that is the cover, and then on the back it says Five Nights at Freddy's fans won't want to miss this collection of 3 chilling stories that will haunt even the bravest player. Some secrets are better left hidden. A forbidden artifact from her fiancé's past beckons to Selena. Jessica leads a double life from her friends and coworkers in the children's wing of a hospital. By the way, Jessica is in high school. Maya can't resist the temptation to explore an off-limits area at Freddy Fazbear's
Oh my god.
Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex. But in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's, everything comes with a price to pay. In this first volume, Five Nights at Freddy's creator Scott Cawthon spins 3 sinister novella-length tales from uncharted corners in his series canon. Readers beware, this collection of terrifying tales is enough to rattle even the most hardened Five Nights at Freddy's fans.
Bit of an overstatement, I think.
Yeah, I would not call
I
it accurate.
So I only really liked 2 out of the 4 stories. The other 2 to me were kind of whatever. I did have a dream about the second one because I read it right before I went to bed. And it wasn't spooky, but
This really reminded me, and I don't know if you're going to know this, but there was a show on Nickelodeon back in the day that was called Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Okay, I've heard of that show.
And definitely the Pizzaplex, the third story, really reminded me of this one. But I feel like I've heard these stories before.
When I explained it to somebody, because I wanted to talk about the second one really bad, they were like, it sounds goosebumpsy to me.
Yeah. So that is the same kind of.
We said that last time.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's. I feel like there was the Twilight Zone, right? And then Nickelodeon had the Are You Afraid of the Dark series, and you have the Goosebumps.
Is it just like
kind of
shorts, horror shorts?
Yeah, it was.
Nickelodeon?
You have like one episode.
The Twilight Zone for kids.
Yeah,
okay.
Twilight Zone for kids, and then now you have Black Mirror, which is super messed up.
Yeah. Can we go back to like fun stories like these? I mean, it wasn't.
Or there was also
fun,
the scary.
But...
Do you ever remember reading the scary stories and more scary stories?
Oh, with the scary pictures in them.
Where like the spider laid eggs and the girl.
I've heard about it. I couldn't read it. I opened it up in the library to like that page with the creepy face, and then I never touched it again.
Those are. I mean, they still sell those. Those have been around for a while.
Every kid I know has been traumatized by that same face.
Yeah, it was the spider one creeped me out, and then the story about them buying a dog, but it's not really a dog. They're all urban legends.
Okay,
but that's the kind of feel that I'm getting from this book.
In order to get that tier of like spooky story, I feel like you have to read like forum posts online now of like, this is what happened to me.
Yeah, it's the retelling of the urban legend.
Yeah. Would you say Black Mirror? I guess Black Mirror is similar. I haven't seen it.
It's the new Twilight Zone. It's super messed up though.
I don't want to see it.
Guidance if you're a child. They like creeped me out, and I can't watch more than like one at a time because it like messes with my brain for sure.
Dude, I can't even watch like ghost hunting shows. Like I don't even believe in ghosts, but you know sometimes I'm like, what if? I don't believe in ghosts unless
they start talking to you, and you're like, what the crap is that?
If you're here, speak. Oh my god, he's high to me. I watched that one show about like hunting Bigfoot on like the Animal Planet, and I remember them being like, Sasquatch threw a pine cone at me, and it was definitely like the cameraman, but they freaked out about that for the whole episode. Anyway.
All right.
Wait, how many did you like? What'd you give this rating wise?
I gave it a 3. I thought that the endings, although you could piece them together, were left ambiguous.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with ambiguous endings. She's less okay with ambiguous endings.
It would be okay if it was one of the stories, but it was like all of the stories.
It's okay. The first one was that was our fault for not having read Fazbear Frights. That's why it was more like that. The second one, I think, was supposed to be ambiguous. And then the third one, well, same.
Yeah. But I'm like, okay, can I have a definite ending? I mean, the last one got a definite ending.
It did get a definite ending.
The epilogue story, but...
So if you don't like ambiguous endings, I don't think this is for you. But also, if you like ambiguous endings, I don't think horror is for you. I feel like a lot of horror stuff is very ambiguous. Even if they're like, the monster's gone or whatever, but then they're like, and then the bushes wiggle a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Could be a cat.
Could have been the wind. So, I don't think horror reading.
But again,
is for
have one definite ending, and then if you want to have one or two ambiguous, that's fine. But You can't do all three.
But you had one definite ending. It was the epilogue.
The non-story.
You got what you wanted.
Yeah, they're like, oh crap, we have to put a definite ending on here. But that also was left ambiguous because we'll get to it. But the whole like cement the door and then
they did that. They did.
They did.
Yeah, it's in the game.
Oh, we'll see. It's not in the story.
So I'm sorry that you don't know the other material.
No. So just a heads up, I have never played FNAF.
And you probably never will.
I probably never will.
You know what? I should bring it over.
Like, actually.
I should bring it over Security Breach. We should play it on Halloween.
Oh,
okay, hot tip. If you are not a horror game person like me, but you want to play some horror games, because sometimes they look kind of tight. Mm-hmm. So what I do, because I play on computer, and I play on a small monitor, I'm at a distance, I turn down the jump scare noise to not quiet, because quiet's still scary. Yeah. Because imagine going from sound to no sound. So you gotta bring it down to like just a little bit. And then on the other screen, because I have two screens, because I'm a baller, I have a sitcom that I've already seen going on. So
you can be like distracted by, ooh, I have to watch this scene.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, there's a jump scare going on, but I'm like, but on my other screen, there's New Girl. So like, so that's what I do to survive, and it has worked so far. Sometimes you can't turn down jump screens, jump scares. So what I have to do is
make sure you play it during the day.
Also hot tip. When you see a monster in a game and you know if that thing's gonna jump scare you, just run at it. Get the jump scare out of the way. So now it's not scary. It's not scary the second time it happens, because it's gonna happen again. So every time there's a monster, I run at it, get the jump scare, reload the save. It's okay now.
I don't like, and this has been in a couple games that we've played, where you hear the noise, but you can't see where it is.
Yeah.
It's always zombie stuff, but it's like I can, or
it's a lot easier if you have headphones on and to tell where they're gonna be directionally.
And then all of a sudden they're in your face, and I'm like, oh.
If you're playing on a console, like you're just getting the surround sound straight up, so you don't know.
But sometimes it's also coming out of the remote, and I'm like, where is that?
He's in our remote.
You dropped the remote.
Yeah.
What was that game that we played where you couldn't move the remote?
What?
That was not Stay Alive. It was Until Dawn.
Oh. Yeah, you had to not move it, and I messed up.
Well, I would have been worse, because
that
control wasn't
sucked, because I got everyone out until that scene where you had to keep the remote still. I should have put it on a table, but
that's what we did later.
Yeah, but my dumb butt put it on my lap, which moves sometimes. Yeah. So,
I can't do this. I'm too caffeinated.
What's her name? What's Anna from Frozen?
Oh, Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell died, so rip to that playthrough. She got her throat taken out by Wendigos. Speaking of ambiguous endings, that one had one too.
Oh.
Depending on whatever you chose. Yeah. Rami Malek could be still there. You never know.
Spoilers. That game's been around for a while, so.
Also, that was kind of vague, so.
Yeah. Could be, it could be. It depends on what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
How you played it.
Now
okay. You gotta play it again.
Back to FNAF. So we're going to spoil all of it, the whole novellas. We're just going to talk about them. So let's start with chapter 1, Frailty. Hashtag not like other girls is what I called this one.
I called it Death by Prom.
Okay. So it starts out with Jack, who is an EMT, and he couldn't save this kid's life. This kid just got in a car accident. He's trying his best. He failed. This kid's basically dead in the eyes of Jack.
And they're right next to a cemetery. So it's like, well, that's weird.
Spooky. There was some form, like Jack went to go talk to his other EMT buddy, and some weird form went over the kid's body and is holding a knife, a dark form. And Jack's like, what are you doing? Get away from that! And the form runs away. And then the kid turns out to be alive.
I'm alive!
But
it's got some weird stuff on him, right?
Silver shavings on him. That will come into play later. So now we meet our main character, Jessica.
And she's not like other girls.
She's 14 years old.
She's 14?
Yeah. She's a 14-year-old high schooler. So that means she's like...
Who has a full-time job at the hospital?
Yeah, she works at the hospital as a janitor.
But she also doesn't have any parents.
She's super creepy.
She's just super emo.
She's got the black hair, the very pale skin that covers her face. She looks like, imagine the girl from The Ring. That's what I think about. She's creepy and has a special silver pendant around her neck. She is religious, and apparently she was the dark form over the boy. healing him.
Mm.
So we learned that pretty early on.
And then when she's a janitor at the hospital, but then they're finding like weird stuff just randomly.
They're finding the silver scraps on the kids because she works in the kids ward as a janitor. So yeah, there's silver like on these kids, and like a parent was freaking out. They're like, "What's this on my son?"
Yeah.
This
like, well, he's doing better, so
yeah, and they're like, "I don't know, it's just a little bit of dust. Like it's fine."
Silver dust.
I don't want the dust on my son.
But then there's like a random like tin can or like bolts or
there's stuff on the ground, yeah.
But the doctors are like, "Hey Jessica, could you pick this up?" Versus like
actually picking it up
themselves.
It's like one
tiny
thing.
Piece of trash.
I know.
Like, and it's rusted and greasy.
It felt like they were being passive aggressive towards Jessica, being like, "I can't believe that she didn't pick this up."
Which when you're telling me she's 14, I'm like, that's just mean.
That is just mean. So she scrapes off silver or silver from her pendant that she wears, which is kind of small now.
And
with a
like
knife on children.
Shape, right?
Yeah, it's like a moon looking thing.
Yeah. So that gives me the indication that she's been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just like a crescent moon. But this ward has like the highest rate of recovery.
Yeah, because she's in the middle of the night. She'll go into the kids' rooms and take her knife and shave off some silver stuff on the kids.
And then she's super tired.
But she still goes to school.
Yeah, that was weird.
She lost her family. We don't really know
why. They don't tell us why about it. She sleeps in the cemetery.
Yeah, she lives in the cemetery. She gets bullied for looking like a zombie. But there's a new boy in town. He comes to school. His name is Robert. And they have to work on a project together. They have to build their own mini robot.
And the teacher tells them to go to the scrapyard. Like that.
But Jessica really, really doesn't want to go to the scrapyard.
Yeah, that. So Robert's like, "Hey, will you be my partner?" Because he doesn't like the other girls.
The other girls were bullying her.
Yeah.
So
he's like, "I understand."
No, you don't, Robert. That's okay, Robert.
He
Robert's a good egg. Don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jessica got really weird about going to the scrapyard. She's like, "No, you go to the scrapyard without me.
I have to work.
I don't want to go to the scrapyard." So Robert goes to the scrapyard, and she runs away to her cemetery crypt that she lives in.
Like in a mausoleum. Or...
Yeah, in a corner of it. Like a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Okay, back to work at the hospital. She's tired, and the more pendant she uses, the more frail she becomes.
And one of the nurses takes notice.
Her name is April. Nope, that's another girl.
Nope.
I forgot what the nurse's name was.
Nurse.
I just think I wrote nurse.
Nurse Macy.
Macy. Yeah, Macy's trying to like take care of her because she likes Jessica, but she always seems a little passive aggressive to me.
Yeah, they were not nice to her. Then there's also a priest because there's a chapel, and so we meet April, right?
We meet April, which is a girl Jessica's age, at the hospital, and she's the only one at the hospital wing not getting better. So you know what that means. Our girl Jessica has not been healing this girl.
Yeah. And because she went in there to check her out, and she woke up, and so she was like, "Oh, I guess I have to come back later."
Yeah. So Robert went to the junkyard to get stuff for the robot. Jessica's weird about junk. There's a bunch of junk being left on the floor of the hospital too. And the main nurse, Macy, and the priest talk about Jessica, how Jessica needs a friend. So Macy and the priest are like, "We need to hook Jessica up
and then they
with a buddy."
Oil can stuff because they like interrupt her prayer time in the chapel.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Jessica likes to go do prayer stuff.
It's like a place to be alone, and
she says she's religious, so she believes this is her calling to heal all these sick kids.
I definitely have questions about Jessica.
Back to Robert and Jessica working on the robot. At Robert's house, they're making a mini-bot 5000, and that's when Robert asked Jessica to prom.
Because he's older, right?
They're in the same class.
Why would a 14-year-old be going to prom?
I don't know. Maybe it's like homecoming.
No, it was prom.
I know it was prom, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why would they be in the same class? Doesn't matter.
Well,
different school, different rules.
Yeah. It's like, that's not how this works. Sometimes science classes you can have like you took marine biology.
Yeah.
And were all the kids the same grade as you?
Yeah, because I took marine biology as a senior.
And they're all seniors?
They're all seniors.
Yeah. Maybe he failed.
Maybe. Yeah, so Robert asked Jessica to prom,
She says
and
yes, right?
no, she runs away to the hospital chapel, and the priest gives her advice. I don't remember what the advice was, but she does think about it a lot. And then leaves.
Like, be a kid, because she's at the hospital all the time, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah, go live your life, basically.
Yeah, live your life.
And that advice is what causes her to not heal April for, like, a long time. So April calls Jessica in, because she sees her leaving the chapel, to her room. And she's like, hey, Jessica, tell me about your life. My friends don't tell me because they don't want me to feel bad because I'm in the hospital for blood cancer all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So just tell me what's going on. Tell me what's up, girl. And so Jessica does tell her what's up, girl.
She's
about
like,
prom.
Oh, that's
this
exciting.
Boy. Jessica considers healing April with the pendant, but doesn't. She's like,
she's gotta go to prom. She knows that her time is running out.
No.
She's like, I want to go to prom before I turn into a bucket of bolts.
So Robert and Jessica go to test the robot at the cemetery. The robot works, and Jessica says yes to going to prom with Robert at the cemetery. Jessica talks to Nurse Macy about prom and how nervous she is, and Macy helps her pick out a prom dress.
They go during their lunch hour to get a dress.
And Macy's like, doesn't she have like parents or somebody to like do this with? Why do I have to do this?
Well, then
for her.
She's like, well, let me check on her. And she goes and looks at her application, which they say is a HIPAA violation, but it's not her medical record, so it's not really a HIPAA violation. It's just a really big breach of privacy.
Yeah.
However, Jessica is a minor, and if she has concerns about her, she needs to notify her parents, which is how you would find that information on our application. So I don't have a problem with this.
So yeah, she looks up her address and then she goes to talk to her parents. But an old lady answers the door saying that there's no Jessica here. And then what's her name? Macy realizes that it's a fake address.
Which is concerning.
Yeah.
But
does she bring this up with her? I really think she does.
No, because it's a HIPAA violation. And she says something to her which makes her like freak out. Yeah. She's like, I went by your house. And she's like, oh no, she knows. Which again, you're an adult and this is a minor, and it's probably a situation where they're being neglected because they don't have parents, and like that's a huge issue, especially as a medical professional. You are a mandated reporter, so that is part of her job. But she doesn't say anything for like a long time. You lose her license, but
Jessica is asleep and dreaming about something metal chasing her and ripping off her limbs and stealing her pendant.
See, ripping of the limbs.
You're right. Yeah, it shows up again. Anyway,
like tearing off your arms. Like just one yank and your arm is gone.
Okay, so it's time to show off the Minibot 5000. Jessica gives Robert her lucky rabbit's foot, and Robert gives Jessica his bracelet.
Only possession that she has.
Yeah.
Besides the sleeping bag and her necklace.
And now this prom dress. They present the bot. Everyone likes it. Like a girl comes up to her and says the bot's really cool. You want to like hang out or do project together next time. She's getting new friends, stuff like that. So back at the hospital, April's health is declining. Jessica feels really bad about that, but she's going to prom instead of helping April. So
gotta live that life.
It's prom night. Woo! Robert and Jessica almost kiss.
I feel like it's 4 days till prom night. It's 3 days till prom night. I feel like prom was supposed to happen. I feel like the timing was off. Like
I don't know.
The distance. I had to go back a couple of times to be like, wait, I thought prom was like this Saturday, and then it's like
I don't remember what Robert said. I just thought he just asked her to prom.
I was confused.
If he did, and it's only been a week, that's kind of soon.
For prom, yeah.
So yeah, it's prom night. Robert and Jessica almost kiss while slow dancing, but then grease appears on Robert's face.
Oh, because it's like face to face.
And everyone starts calling her icky, and she doesn't know why. And Robert's like, ew, what the heck? This is gross. Well, ew. Yeah.
She's
leaking, basically. First I thought it was on actually from Robert for a second, and then I realized, oh, that's just because of her face is leaking.
That was awesome. Like, is it coming from her hair? Or is it coming from, like, where is it coming from?
I like to think it's coming from the top of her head and leaking down. Hopefully not her mouth, because that's gross. Just the oil coming out, dripping out her nose and eyes. Back at the hospital because she ran back to the hospital once everyone called her icky for
Yeah, she's like,
leaking.
oh no, I'm breaking. I have one more thing to do. It's my destiny.
So she is dripping grease from her head. Nuts and bolts and junk are falling out of her butt. And she runs into April's room. Just pooping nuts and bolts as she runs. Okay, yeah, she starts shaving her pendant onto April after blocking the door because she bolts in, right? Dripping. And then Macy's like, "What's up, Jessica?" Yeah. And Jessica just runs past her into April's room and like slams the door and like bolts it, puts a thing over it.
Yeah, blocks it. And then Macy goes to get the priest.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're in cahoots.
And
who else is there at late at night?
That's true. Yeah, so she starts shaving the pin onto April, and then when Macy and the staff finally get the door open, there is no Jessica.
Just a bunch of garbage.
Just a pile of junk by April's bed.
Rusted and old.
The priest is sad and starts to pray for Jessica, and then April's heart monitor begins beating strong and healthy.
And that is the end of Frailty.
So this story, according to the wiki, is connected to Fazbear Frights, which is the other one that we skipped. Because that has to do with the heart pendant. Because apparently the heart pendant shows up in that one.
So it's not a moon pendant, it's a heart pendant?
Maybe. I don't know if it's the same pendant. They say it's a very similar thing to like people turning into animatronics in that one or something. I don't know.
So that's the question. Is like she a robot?
I don't know.
Because she's like 10 cans are coming out of her. So I'm like, I get the bolts and stuff like that, but a tin can, like, what is, who's
She's cursed. I don't know.
And then something happened at the junkyard because she doesn't want to go there. Yeah. She has that dream.
Well, I think the other story has to do with the junkyard.
Okay.
And they think that the other story will explain why she doesn't have parents. So I guess stay tuned for whenever we get to Fazbear Fries.
She said, like, I made a bad decision, and she's trying to, like, remedy that, like, make up for it. And
she went to Fazbear Pizza and had a good time, and that's not good. You should not have a good time at Chuck E. Cheese, because then your parents will die.
Where a kid can be turned into a robot.
An orphan. So, that's that story.
That was the worst.
That was the worst story. It was so boring. I was so like, oh my god, I don't want to read.
It took several days.
And
it was just weird that she was working full time at a hospital, not spending her money at all. I get why she's there because she wants to help the kids, but at the same time, why are you at school?
That's a good point. I guess feel obligated to go to school.
Because it's a normal thing to do and you're trying to be normal.
Yeah. Didn't it used to be like, they said in the beginning, like, oh, she used to be popular and pretty and stuff. I don't know. So maybe she's just used to it, goes to school. I don't know. That's that. That's Frailty.
That's Frailty.
Now we're getting to Lally's game, which is like my fave.
I also have questions.
I mean, you took notes. Do you want to, you just let me go? Let me go off?
Did not take that many notes. I took a lot of notes for the first one. And then I just kind of read the other one. So Lally's game, our main characters are Selena and Cade. Mm-hmm. And they are getting married. Oh my god. And they're both like so
gorgeous. Hot. Oh my god.
Cade has such a good body.
He's got like dark hair and green light eyes.
And over again.
Selena's gorgeous. Yes. And she's a blogger.
She is. She started doing something else, but then she had a website and it was so successful.
Oh my god, so her blog is like self-improvement for women. So you know she's cringe as hell. Mm-hmm.
And she loves vintage because they're moving to Cade's hometown where they bought a house, but he's old fashioned. So instead of they have like 2 weeks until their wedding, and they just bought a house. Which you're buying a house right before your wedding, but it's a small wedding. Yeah. Because at first I was like, "What are you doing?" Because it's a fixer-upper house, which is.
Cade makes a bunch of money from his.
Yeah, he's a tech guy.
He's a tech guy, so. He does some computer stuff.
But to be newly married and remodeling a house is a bad idea. because nothing says divorce more than let's do a project
Well,
together.
we'll find out why it's also a bad idea.
But
later
that's so
on.
much stress on a new relationship. But then also, so they're like, I'm old fashioned, so we can't live together until we're married. So
Go
I was
live
like,
with my mom.
yeah. So I'm like, Kate's mom lives there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, so Kate's staying with his mom, right? Because that would make sense to
Yeah.
me. But no, because he's so old fashioned, Selena has to learn how to cook from his mom, which I was like, barf.
Yeah, Kate kind of sucks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Selena's not much better.
They both suck. They deserve each other. So.
So they saw. That was a joke that I texted you of like, every time they say vintage, take a drink, because we would have been unconscious.
Oh.
For the
So they say, so Selena is talking about her perfect life in the car on the way over, right? And she's like, all my friends have these problems, but like, I have no perfect.
Where are her friends?
I don't know. She's no friend. She's lying. She's insane.
At the wedding at all.
So this is the first time I ever heard the expression, wait for the other shoe to drop.
Oh.
I've never heard that before. Which is just like, if you think something's going to go wrong, it will. It's inevitable that something's going to happen. So when she was talking about that, I was like, so does she think it's inevitable that something bad's going to happen to her? Because like nothing's bad ever happened to her in her entire life, but this is happening to her friends.
Well, for that expression, something bad has to happen and you're waiting for the next
thing to happen, right? Yeah, you already lost the shoe, but nothing bad's happening to Selena. So she shouldn't have used that expression. It didn't make any sense. I had to look it up because I was like, I don't know what that means. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I was like a good thing? Like maybe she meant like...
No, I mean, you're losing your shoes. That's like a bad thing. So it was just not used properly.
Okay.
Yeah, so Janice is Cade's mom and she makes the best biscuits. So of course Selena has to learn how to make his mom's biscuits. I'm just like, this is...
Gotta make my mom's biscuits if we're gonna get married.
Like, oh. And of course, Janice is like super frilly, like homemaker.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. I'm like, again,
Janice is super weird.
So that means that Cade is staying in the house.
Mm-hmm.
That is a huge fixer-upper because you find out later that she fixes things up in like a week too. I'm like, no. That is not how this
She
works.
should have been a home improvement blogger.
Yes.
That would have made like way more sense.
Yes, it would have. Because she's like,
my home improvement YouTube channel. Yeah. I run an HGTV show. Well, she had to work from home, so it's important.
But she fixed up her home office in like a snap, and they're like buying all these things.
I think when she fixed up her home office, and it was so quick. She's like, just add a desk, just add a poster and like a plant, and then I'm done. And I was like, girl, you're never done with your home office. No. You look at that and you'd be like, I should add more stuff.
Or this is not working.
Or I should rearrange.
Yeah. Instead of
But she was just fine. She was just fine. She's a blogger. Like, come on.
Yeah, true. And then the question it said how long they knew each other, which I think was what, 2 years?
Yeah, they got engaged for like 2 years.
But how much do you need to know about someone before you marry them?
Well, I don't know. You have people who get married after like 18 to 12. No, 18's a lot. 8 to 12 years.
You have people that get married after meeting each other for like a day.
That's messed up. Yeah. Most people say like 4 to 5.
Well, they say you should see someone on all seasons. So like...
What's all seasons?
Like at least a year.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
To see how...
But they're 2 years, so...
it should be. But... She feels like she doesn't know him at all because as she's staying with Janice, she's looking at all of these photos of him, and she's learns that
snooping in his photo album.
He was obsessed.
He loved going to Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex. Yeah. I mean, John's Incredible Pizza. Most of the pictures were in a blacklight arena. That she's noticed. She's like scrolling through the pictures.
There was like a lot of pictures. She was like, "Who's taking all these pictures?" And it's super weird.
They have to position the camera themselves, and then they take pictures by this robot.
But
it has to be.
Why is his mom taking all these pictures of like the same trip?
Because he really likes Lally. So this game is a blacklight arena called Lally's game.
You're gonna have to explain this game to me because I still don't get
it. If I explain the game, it's a spoiler. We'll have to wait until the mom explains the game because that helps with the suspense. Because the whole time you're reading this, you're like, "What?
This sounds like the stupid."
I thought it was laser tag.
Yeah,
that was my guess because it was an arena. So I was like, "Okay, so you're playing a game with this weird robot, right?
This little kid robot.
This little kid robot in a blacklight arena. So blacklight is laser tag, but it's not. And we'll tell you what it is to add the suspense. Keep later, because it's wild that this even exists.
Kate is an only child, which is what the mom uses to explain why he likes this game so much.
Yeah, so Lally is an animatronic made for lonely kids, because apparently you can only have 2 people in the arena at a time. And so if the kid didn't have a friend, they have a robot for them to play with, which name is Lally, and that's why it's called Lally's game. And Cade, I guess, was a lonely kid. He had friends. But he just really liked this robot and hanging out with this robot. Big robot fan. And then one day, Lally was stolen and it scared Cade.
Yes, because she's like, oh, was he sad? And she's like, no, he was scared. And I'm like, that's
a red flag right there. Yeah, even Selena was like, what?
Yeah. Let me ask him about this.
Yeah, so Selena went to talk to Cade about Lally.
And he was very dismissive.
Yeah.
He's like, what? I don't have to tell you everything. I'm like, also same, dude, because
Cade doesn't want to talk about it, but it's so weird.
I've never brought up Chuck E. Cheese on a date ever.
She was so upset. She's like, how come you never told me that you went to Chuck E. Cheese a lot as a kid? And he's like, you didn't tell me everything that you did as a kid or everything you were into. And she's like, yes, I did. I did tell you.
Wasn't listening.
I told you everything. And you didn't tell me everything. And he's like, I don't know. It's not.
Again.
He's like, I had a bad time in the past from it. Okay. So that's what he said. He was like, I don't want to.
Later
he's like, I don't want to bring it up. Okay. And she's still obsessed with the fact that he didn't tell her that. And then there's also, there's also when they were moving in, Cade had a old trunk.
Gross. So gross.
Selena hates it. It's icky. It's not vintage.
And she's like, we agreed to only bring our best stuff.
And this stuff,
she got super pissed.
She got so pissed. She was trying to move it like out of the way or whatever, and he got mad at her for like trying to move it.
It's sentimental. It's from my childhood.
It's full of childhood baggage, is what he says. And so he's like, well, I'm just gonna, I'll put it away in the back in the attic.
Put it in the attic, yeah.
It'll be fine. And she's still like, do you like that trunk more than you love me, Cade? And it's super weird. She's super weird about it. That girl needs to go to therapy. Anyway, it's her wedding day, and she still feels suspicious and jealous of that robot and that trunk.
Yeah.
On her wedding day, she's like, you hung out with... What's the... I'm trying to think of the animatronic for Chuck E. Cheese's name. He really loves Ticket Muncher more than me. That's not his name, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so...
Oh, it is Munch. His name is Munch. That's right.
Oh, okay.
He's a ticket muncher. You remember, you put the tickets in and he goes,
honk,
honk, honk, honk.
So creepy.
His name is Munch.
It also is a very like low-key wedding, just like really, really close friends.
Because none of them have friends, so.
They just bought a house too. And
well, that's not true. They do have work friends because they bring that up.
Well, he has work friends. Because they then have a game night. And she is so bad at this game night. Was it charades?
Oh, this is before this. This is before this. We'll bring that up later. So they got married. She's still jealous. Selena works from home, right? So she's like, I'm gonna go
the whole house by herself.
I'm gonna go look at that trunk because he didn't want me to open it, and I want to find out. I'm feeling Snoopy today.
She goes to the attic, and it's not. She was like, they make a point to say it's not like the attic where you like pull down the rope or whatever it is.
What is it then?
It's like there's like stairs to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, she goes up to the attic and she can't find the trunk. It's not there. And so she searched the whole house for this trunk.
Find this thing. It's gotta be in the garage because that's kids' place.
Mm-hmm. And she found it in an unused room, hidden behind empty boxes and like covered with linen. So he hid it. He's like, okay, I don't want her to find this. Which I guess makes sense because she was being weird about it. And if he doesn't, if he does, yeah, I wouldn't trust her either. Which is a whole other bag of worms if they're married.
Well, you know why he doesn't take it to his mom's house. But I'm like, get a freaking storage shed.
Honestly, this box cemented in the ground.
Yeah, rent a storage
rid of this box.
And lock it in there so that no one else goes in there. Make sure you pay. For like
Make sure
10
you
years
pay,
in advance, and then you're good.
Honestly, light it on fire and put it on the ground. This bot, you're gonna find out it's evil.
The cement thing would probably
cement that sucker. I I'm just assuming he didn't because he's sentimental, but I think that's giving him too much credit.
I also, like, the end made me think that...
There's also an interpretation. You'll see. Okay, so anyway, she finds the trunk. It is hidden.
It's locked, too.
It's locked,
and
so
this girl is not gonna let it go.
she's like, I'm gonna try to lockpick it. You know what? I'm not gonna try to lockpick it. I'm gonna break the lock.
And she's like, where's the screwdriver?
I want him to know. Like, she thought about it. She's like, I want him to know that I broke into his stupid box, so I'm gonna break it. So she went to go break it. She does. She breaks the lock, but before she opens it, Cade comes home, and she's like, I'm gonna go confront him right now, which is, come on, girl, I want to look in that box. You were gonna put through all that work, and you're gonna go, because she doesn't care what's in the box. She just cares that Cade's not telling her what's in the box, basically.
Yeah.
So she goes to confront Cade about lying to her about what the box was.
Which, in hindsight, if he would have just shown her what was in the box and then locked the box.
You can't unleash the box.
Okay.
You can't open that box, dude.
Good.
That thing's gonna get out of that box.
But if you're looking at it,
yeah.
Isn't that the whole thing?
No, I don't think so. Maybe. But also, could be him. So
I think it is.
I don't,
so
we'll talk about that. Okay. Keeping you in suspense here.
Confusing the heck out of you.
So yeah, she goes to confront him about the box, and he's like, "Did you open the box?" And she's like, "Well, I almost did. I broke the lock."
Like,
yeah. And then he runs up to the trunk.
Yeah, he like loses color in his face.
Oh no!
He's shaking.
Opens the box. It's empty.
It's empty.
And she's relieved, but she feels kind of guilty. She's like, "Yeah, sorry.
Like, okay, so there's just
sorry, I invaded your box." Cade. And he is visibly shaken, but he's like,
he's not gonna say anything about it, which is,
he's like, it's okay.
Yeah, this
sketch. So Cade would get up in the middle of the night now, like, and search the room.
And she's like, he's sleeping next to me, and I can feel his heartbeat, and it's like,
he's nervous,
crazy, yeah.
So she let him do this for like way too long, like a whole week.
Yeah,
of him getting up and like searching the room.
No one is sleeping.
Yeah, they're all exhausted. Selena finally confronts Cade about that, where like he's searching the room and she just flicks on the light and it's like, so what's the deal?
Yeah. Well, then she also hears from, oh no, this is later. This is after game night.
Okay, so Selena confronts Cade about it, and Cade finally comes clean about what happened. So the Pizzaplex was going through renovations, and some scaffolding collapsed in on Lally's arena during a game. It punched a hole in the exterior wall, and the auditorium was it called when everyone has to leave? Evacuated. I can't spell, so I don't know what that said. And Lally went missing during that evacuation. Turns out that Lally wasn't stolen. Lally followed Cade home, or wasn't stolen, maybe. Followed Cade home. This is Cade's perspective. This is Cade telling you what happened. Followed him home, and Cade started to see Lally like everywhere. And so he was like, I gotta get rid of this robot.
But
he's afraid of this robot.
Yeah, but Cade tells us that it only moves when you're not looking at it. So if you're looking, looks like the Weeping Angels?
Yeah.
From Doctor Who. So if you look at it, then it can't move because it's a game of hide and seek.
Yeah.
That you find out. That's what Lolly's game was.
That's a spoiler. You can't say that yet.
Sorry.
So he lured Lally into the old trunk in his mom's sewing room and locked the robot inside of it.
Well, isn't that how they were playing the game, and that's how he lured him in there?
But yeah, he saw him in his house, and he was like, I think I have to get him in the trunk. So he got him in there, and then she was like, did you check if he was in there? And he's like, I heard him. I'm not opening that trunk. I think I got him.
He's been carrying around this trunk for who knows how long.
Selena doesn't believe him and thinks it's all in his head.
Yeah, she's like, he had a traumatic experience.
It's basic psychology, babe.
No, it's not.
She's so gross.
Yeah, she is. Nope. And then, are we at the game night?
Now we're at the barbecue. Okay. They invite some friends over for a barbecue, and she's gonna go in the garage to get more cream soda.
So they're playing that's the category, charades. Mm-hmm. And she is the worst at this game. Like, I would be embarrassed to be on her team because they're like one word, and she's like,
no, it's like 6 words.
Yeah.
And she kept naming like 3-word movies.
Girls can't count.
She just listed all the movies that she's seen, I swear to God.
Yeah. So it was like One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest or something like that, and she's like, Schindler's List. Like, that's
Girl.
2 words.
You should be embarrassed.
I'm so bad at games. This poor other girl was like, I was about to say that. that Schindler's List. Not that you were bad at games, but she's like, me too. I'm also bad at games because this is your house and you look really dumb in front of all of his coworkers.
Yeah. So yeah, she has to go to the garage to get more cream soda.
Yeah.
And when she's about to open the fridge and she sees Lally.
But she's been feeling that something's watching her for a while.
Yeah, she's been hearing weird noises, and she's been.
Would have been so much better if this thing giggled, because that is so scary when you hear like little kids' footsteps and like. Ah!
Apparently, it talks. So.
Did that happen in here?
It did.
Oh.
Depending on how you feel about the turn of events that's about to happen. So yeah, she sees Lally and it doesn't move, and she's like making eye contact with it, and she's like, "Oh my god, I think that's the robot he was talking about. He wasn't lying about the robot." But she still wants to get that cream soda, so she.
Yeah, she came in with a mission. She
like
cream soda.
Quickly opens the fridge, grabs the cream soda, closes it. The robot's still there.
Yeah,
the robot's still there. So she goes and talks to Cade and is like, "Hey, can I borrow him for a second? Ha ha ha, bye." And is like, "Cade, there's the robots in the garage." And then they, go to the garage and the robot is gone. Oh no.
Dun, dun, dun.
Where's the robot? Cade left for work early the next morning because he doesn't want to deal with Lally, so he leaves his newlywed to deal with this robot all on her own. It's so mean.
By herself.
She's like, they found a Post-it note of him being like, "Oh, I'm leaving work early, that grind." And she's like, he's just leaving because he's scared of that robot. What a terrible husband. Actually, once the robot was unleashed, they should have moved out.
Yeah. They should have, let's go stay with my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why we're doing renovations. That's totally
Which is what leads to the theory that your theory is better because of this. Anyway, he leaves early. Next morning, Selena is taking a bath and feeling watched. She hears noises. She, gets out of the bathtub and walks around the whole house to try to find her.
Well, didn't they make a point saying, she always leaves the door open or whatever it is, and then she decides to close it?
Because of the steam. She doesn't like the room steaming up.
That's, part of taking a hot shower.
She's the worst. She's the worst.
That little extra steam room thing.
Person ever. Who leaves the door open when they take a bath?
Yeah.
Just turn on the fan, dummy.
Open a window.
Oh, yeah, open a window, since, you're in, an acreage giant house with nobody there. So she goes, because she keeps hearing noises and feeling watched. So she's like, I'm going to go talk to Cade's mom about this.
So we go to Janice, and, the story that we hear, are they just, gloss over it about Daniel?
They kind of do. So this is when Janice explains that it's a hide-and-seek game, right? And it's she's like, the game was only for 2 people, and that's why Cade liked it so much. Cade didn't want to share Lally with anybody. So when his classmate Daniel came into the arena while he was playing the game,
freaked out.
Cade freaked out and was like, the game's only for 2. And then Daniel was killed in a horrible accident.
And that's all we know about it.
Which I'm assuming is when the arena's scaffolding fell.
Oh, because they don't explain that. They're like, well, later.
But also, they're implying that Lally killed Daniel, and or
I think it was the other.
Or they think it's Cade.
I think it's Cade.
Because Janice doesn't want to talk about the horrible accident, which also makes you feel like it's Cade, because then Janice is like, I know my son killed that little boy. And we learned that Lally doesn't actually move. And the game was hide and seek.
You had to move him.
You had to move him.
Which I was like, that's a weird hide and seek.
It's a
I know where he is.
He's also a robot.
Yeah.
And if the game is only for 2, because they say he's a robot.
Yeah.
But maybe he's not. But if he's a robot, why make him a robot if you just have to move him? That doesn't make any sense.
That's why I was like, I don't understand how this game works.
So Selena automatically has Elise's theory, which is Cade's the one moving this robot around. Cade's insane.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Or you could have my theory, which is the robot is evil.
Which is a
very FNAF thing to do. Or it could be, they could be working together. But yeah, you're supposed to move the robot. But how would the mom know that that's how the game works? Because she was taking the pictures?
Yeah, it's her picture. She has to be taking.
But why is it a blacklight arena if you have to move this dummy around?
Also, it's just a game for 2. I know where Lally is. I put him there.
And hide and seek is not a game for 2.
No.
So that's just a Cade rule, I think.
I was like, I don't understand. This does not make sense.
So the whole plot twist was that the game is hide and seek. Lolly doesn't move, according to the mom. I'm making eyes at the microphone. You can't see, but so Selena's gonna run back home, and she drives back, and she sees Cade driving to his mom
because she's like, I'm gonna get my stuff. Like this guy is crazy.
So Cade's driving to his mom's house, and she's running home and grabbing 2 suitcases, and then she hears noises. She looks around. She doesn't find anything. She starts to break down and cries because,
yeah, stressful.
It's stressful. But then Cade covers her mouth and tells her to be quiet, and he warns her that if she upsets Lally, she'll end up in the trunk.
Yeah, again, crazy pants.
Selena asks Cade if he killed Daniel, because that's what she's assuming, right? Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Cade's like, no, it was Lally. It wasn't him. The game was only made for 2 people.
Only made for 2.
Selena then whacks Cade with a lamp and run towards the kitchen, but sees a white figure in the kitchen, so she's like, I'm not dealing with Lally. Runs back upstairs, realizing that's stupid. That just trapped me.
That is the classic horror movie mistake. Don't run upstairs, run out the door.
Run out the door. But she ran back upstairs. She realized it was stupid. She said it, but she hid in a closet.
Isn't it in that bedroom where the trunk was?
Yes. She's
like, I'm gonna hide under these blankets
like, maybe,
and stuff again.
Yeah, Cade won't fight. Hopefully he'll give up, right? Yeah. He'll give up and he won't look in here. But then she hears, hi. So the audiobook version. Yeah. The lady did the hi in Cade's voice.
Yeah.
So she's following your theory.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But when I hear the hi.
Yeah,
I hear the high-pitched one from FNAF. It's like the little balloon boy hi. So, to each their own. Selena screams. Cade passes out, and when he wakes up, he's like, where's Selena? She's in the trunk. So, yeah, he looks around the house. She's nowhere to be found. He's like, oh, God, I hope she's not in the trunk. And then he goes and checks the trunk and sees her remains inside of the trunk.
Yeah.
So,
and then there is an epilogue to this story.
We're not done yet.
Okay.
Because he hears from the ceiling, the game is only for 2.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can move on to the epilogue.
Epilogue, we meet Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
And Debbie has just bought a new house that's a fixer-upper with her
new husband. Cade. So Debbie is a painter. She's going to turn the attic into an art studio. And then Debbie notices the trunk. And Cade says, it's just full of childhood baggage. They leave. A shadow consumes the room, and 2 small pinpoints of light appear above the trunk.
So above the trunk, meaning not in the trunk, unless the trunk opens. So is Selena still in the trunk? Does no one care about what happened to his first wife?
I guess not. Because, I mean, doesn't the mom show up in the epilogue, too, and talk about...
Oh, no, they talk about the mom, where the mom was like, it's okay if you move away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I'm like, what? It's okay if you just bought a house that you were fixing up with a wife that went missing.
Mm-hmm. Missing.
And now you just married someone new. That's okay. Family crazies.
That dude would be in jail. He'd be accused so hard.
Well, it would have made more sense if Selena didn't have a family. But she has parents. They were at the wedding.
Yeah.
And if she was a blogger where she doesn't have any close friends and just people online being like having like the last thing like, Selena, you haven't posted in a while. I'm adding on to the story.
Yeah, you are. There's a lot to add on. So yeah, the 2 theories is Cade's crazy, right? And he's been moving Lally around. And he killed Selena, and he also killed Daniel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and watch out, girl.
And then he came up with this theory that Lally followed him in the trunk and whatever. There's also the other theory that Lally is evil, and that's why he was scared when he started to see Lally follow him around everywhere. That's why his mom was like, oh, he was scared when Lally went missing, because that's when he noticed it was following him around. But also, you could say, like,
I'm not
Lally...
keeping that trunk.
And also say that Lally is, like... reminding him of the fact that he killed Daniel.
Yeah.
So it could be like you're getting haunted by your crimes.
Oh, that Lolly's now Daniel.
Yeah, maybe in his mind when he was a kid. So
because
he had to
that's
lock
what
it
he
away
tells
in the
Daniel, right? It's
room.
only a game for two.
Yeah.
And then that's what you hear.
So that also could be an interpretation. But I like to think that the robot's evil because it's FNAF. And the robot killed her and is only a game for two. And he grew attached to Cade because you can see in some of the photos that like the robot's looking up at Cade possessively is what she says. So yeah, I would think maybe Cade is right if you're following Cade's side, basically.
Yeah.
If you're on Cade's side or you're not on Cade's side.
I'm not putting that. If he had killed my first wife, I'm not bringing that back into my house with my second wife.
Yeah, the only reason I would assume
it's like Poltergeist. You never own a television ever again.
I would assume that he keeps it around is he's afraid of it and doesn't want to like put it somewhere else in case somebody else opens it.
No, I would rent a storage shelter. Put it in the fire.
Yeah, renovation of our backyard. We're putting concrete all over the place. I'm dumping it. It'll be like Pet Cemetery. It'll come out of the concrete. So yeah, I liked this because it had like two interpretations of how the story could go. You could think Cade's insane, and actually that robot, like that doesn't make sense for the game of hide and seek. It would make more sense if it was a robot that you play hide and seek with. But also hide and seek is not a 2-player game, which means Cade just made that rule up.
What if you played red light, green light?
I think that looking away from the robot and stuff and it having disappeared is a cool idea for hide and seek.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's up to you how you feel about it, which is kind of cool. I like that.
I guess team. It's not Team Daniel or Team Lally. It's like you're like rooting for them versus like who's crazy.
Oh, you mean Cade?
Okay.
Well, I don't want to be Team Cade because I don't like Cade.
Yeah.
But like, I also don't think. I think he's afraid of the robot.
So your team Lally is the killer versus I'm Team Daniel is the killer, not Daniel.
Cade.
Oh my gosh.
Team Cade's the killer. Team Lolly's the killer. Yeah.
But I do like the third one where it's Daniel that is Cade or is Lally who's haunting.
Oh yeah.
Cade. I didn't even get that.
Because that could work.
Yeah.
In terms of like. Because that's the classic FNAF, the kid's body in the robot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then it's a kid robot, so I don't know how that... No.
Well, they didn't shove it in the robot.
Yeah.
Unless he did shove it in the robot.
But possessive spirit.
Anyway.
All right.
The next one.
Third story is called Under Construction. And we are at the pizzeria.
Finally. I was so excited about this.
They
mentioned
it in the last story, but
did.
We don't really learn all that much about it, except for there was a weird Lolly game.
Yeah, but apparently Lolly's game's gone now, and they replaced it with an AR booth or something.
It sounded like a stupid game.
It did
Only
sound like
you
a
played
stupid
it.
game.
So it's Maya, Jackson, and Noel, and it's Maya's 16th birthday, and so they saw an advertisement for the pizzeria, and they said, "Let's go."
Yeah, so this is, actually, Jackson convinced Maya to go because he told her about this AR experience where you could have the bestest birthday ever. And she's like, yeah, I want that because I don't get that at my house.
So they are not very rich, but there's like, they live on a very friendly block and she wants some coffee cake from some lady that's award winning, apparently.
I don't think our parents would let me have my 16th birthday at Chuck E. Cheese. 16? No. They banned me when I was like 13.
Yeah, I mean, I had a birthday at Chuck E. Cheese, but I was really young. I think I was like 6.
So, hot tip, everyone, you can go to Chuck E. Cheese as an adult. I was told that you couldn't unless you had a kid. I know it sounds creepy, but like, I wanted to eat the pizza again.
And the games are fun.
Yeah, they're still just arcade games.
Yeah.
It's fine. Get that cheesy bread. It's really good.
All right. VR versus AR. So virtual reality versus augmented reality. Which one, if there was 2 booths and you can only do one, which one would you do?
I'd honestly probably do the AR booth. I have VR.
I would rather be in a VR than an AR.
I'd be afraid about the VR, to be honest.
As long as I was in a contained space.
Especially after, because there's a roller coaster in this Pizzaplex.
It's 3 stories.
Called Fazbear. What is it called? Fast Freddy. It's called Fast Freddy, and it's a horror themed because they have the animatronics jumping at you like in the game. Yeah. So, which is very similar to the ride that you ride in the VR game for like the Halloween DLC, which was kind of cute. And I was like, oh, I actually kind of played that. Anyway, so they're celebrating her 16th birthday. I put
She
that
really wants to do the AR thing.
I put that Jackson thinks age is a construct.
Oh, that was the whole conversation. So this is why I thought instead of under construction, I think it's more appropriate that this is called pizza is a construct, because that was part of that conversation. But there was also a really messed up thing where he's like, age is a construct, life is a construct, and then they have a conversation about this girl's dead uncle, which I'm like, what?
So the argument is that like a person never dies, their consciousness continues to experience existence, but in another reality. It's like many worlds theory.
Yeah, parallel universes.
And Noelle's like, so
But then
did
isn't
my
there an already
uncle just not
consciousness in there?
die? I don't know.
You just like join consciousness.
It's
with another
supposed to
form of
be
yourself?
important to the plot, but
Yeah.
like I don't think it is. So before things get too heated between Noelle and Jackson with this weird theory that they're talking about, Maya's like, let's go to the AR booth.
He's
and
like, I have to finish my pizza. And they're like, pizza is a contract, because he ate his pizza already.
So yeah, this AR booth is called The World Celebrates You, and it's supposed to give you the illusion of a perfect birthday party where everyone at the Pizzaplex is celebrating your birthday.
But it's not just everyone at the Pizzaplex. It's everyone you've ever met in your life.
It's scary.
Because there are people there that she talks about later that were not at the Pizzaplex.
Yeah, it's like, because, well, I guess we'll get to it.
It has to like access your memories or something.
We'll get to it because it was under construction, right? And she gets
hence the title.
Very, very mad about this. And
also, it's her birthday, and they're like, which one do you want to do? And she's like, I want to do AR. So Jackson's like, let's go to the VR.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, it's her birthday. Do this first.
Well, that's why he's like, okay, yeah, birthday girl will go to the AR. But they actually go to the VR first. Yeah. Anyway, she gets super mad that it's under construction, and she ignores it and enters the AR anyway. But they can see, like, the big security tower, which you can see in the game, which is cool. You go up to that. And they're like, we're definitely going to get caught sneaking in here because they're going to see us. So, but they're, whatever.
She just runs for
determined.
It. She's like, I'm going to do it.
She puts on this headband, which has little nodes that, like...
It's got like a Geordie LaForge from, like, Star Trek.
It goes into your brain, so that way it can steal the memories of everyone you've ever known.
Yeah, it's like...
That's freaking me out, to be honest. I think I would be okay if it was just, like, a blank screen and, like, it was everyone at the Pizzaplex instead of just, like...
Or if it was the animatronics.
That's fine. So Jackson gets it to work, and, like, you know, it's this big dome where you can see out of it to the Pizzaplex, and everyone in it is, like, turning to face you and being like, happy birthday!
And then they roll out a cake.
They roll out a cake, like, her family and friends are there.
So it's not just, like, 3D, it's 4D, because you can, like, smell and,
you can
like,
eat the cake. She ate the cake, and she got opened presents.
That she could touch.
That she could touch, and I was like, this is an AR.
No.
This is weird. Unless, like, an employee or an actual robot came and, like, gave you a cake, which that could make sense.
Yeah.
But it should be just a screen.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever.
Yeah, it would have made more sense if it was virtual reality, if this was the virtual reality part versus the augmented reality.
Yeah, she got to experience the birthday.
She got, like, a necklace.
Not yet.
Oh, that was...
So, well, yeah, they did that, and when it was over, they went to Fast Freddy. But honestly, they left the thing, and they were like, I'm surprised nobody came to, like,
no one
kick us out. Nobody noticed us being in there. We, like, turned on the machine and everything.
Yeah.
Weird, okay. So, yeah, they do, like, the roller coaster, and it's scary, and also kind of
Yeah, she gets home, and they're like, how was it? She's like...
amazing. But she feels mild headaches now. From where the AR headband nodes were.
She shares a room with her sister. Parents were, like, playing a card game.
Yeah, and then the next day is, like, her birthday block party with everyone in the neighborhood.
Everyone shows up, and it seems
her friends
like
and family. Party. Yeah, it was chill.
But she was like, I wasn't the center of attention. That's what she wanted.
All she wants to be the center of attention. But honestly, throughout the block party with, like, her neighbors and her family, she was like, why did I want the thing so bad?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. Why did I want that? I'm like, my family's fine. And, like, her grandparents give her a pendant. Rose pendant. That's gonna kind of be important, kind of not.
It's a good
we meet all of her family, so that way we can know their names when they die. So on her 17th birthday, the next year, her grandma dies from breast cancer, surrounded by her family. Mm-hmm. Death tally, what?
I know, it's about to escalate real quick.
Shortly after, Pappy is diagnosed with brain cancer, and then her other grandpa's diagnosed with brain cancer, and then her neighbors get cancer and die.
She's like, well, this is weird.
And then at school, everyone is mentioning their relatives getting cancer, and nobody cares but Maya. Maya's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And they're like, whatever, why are you sorry?
Yeah, it's like, it's just like an everyday thing.
They're hanging out. They're like, yeah, my mom just got cancer.
Like,
anyway.
if you, like, oh, my mom just got bangs.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Maya is spending all of her time taking care of sick friends and family. Her dad got cancer. But there is some good news, because I guess her teacher, Mrs. Carpenter, had a baby.
Yes.
So,
which, in the news, it was like no one's having kids anymore because everyone has cancer.
yeah.
And so it's a rarity. So her and Noelle go over to Miss Carpenter's house, which, would you go over to a teacher's house?
Probably
to see
not.
Their baby?
I don't care, but
I mean, there's some kids that get like close to teachers, where they're like part of the family.
They were like their favorite teacher, right, Miss Carpenter?
That would be weird to me.
So,
like, if you bring your baby to school, I get that, but to just like show up at your teacher's house.
Maybe if you just know her, she's in the neighborhood,
Yeah,
like you're like neighbors to your teacher or something. Miss Carpenter's baby.
She's not like the other kids.
She's a jelly-filled, lifeless ragdoll life form.
She has like no face.
I think about
like
the
no
blob
features, yeah.
from just any blob, just any slime. It's a slime creature.
So at first, I didn't get the blob thing until like later, but
it's like a blob human. You know that SpongeBob episode where he creates a bubble buddy?
Yeah,
that's what I think about.
But yeah, no facial features, and so Maya's like, "What the crap?" But
yeah, nobody seems to notice. She's trying to keep it together.
She's like, cute baby.
Yeah, I gotta go. Noelle, we gotta go. And then she's like, Noelle, can you believe that thing? And she's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
the baby was cute. Like, I don't know what you mean. She's like, oh my god, everyone's going insane.
So the baby's name is Celia, though. Okay.
Yeah. Maya comes home to her mom having cancer now, and everyone's so calm. Mm-hmm. They're like eating dinner, and she's like, by the way, I got diagnosed. And she's like, why is anyone crying, freaking out about this?
Yeah.
So she storms off. She watches the news, and the anchors happily report hundreds of thousands of cancer deaths all over the world.
Mm-hmm. And you have cancer. And you have cancer.
Also, weird jelly babies are being born across the world, and they grow into adult blobs really
just, like,
fast.
Really fast. They grow, like, I think she talked about Celia was, like, a couple weeks old, but looked like a 8-year-old or something like that.
Yeah, and then like she runs into Miss Carpenter later, and she's like, how's Celia doing? And she's like, oh, she's doing great. And she was like seated next to her in the car, and she looked like a adult blob. Yeah. So
blobs. And then they just like, the blob people just like hang out on
they just lay on the floor and stuff.
Yeah, this was weird. This was like a Black Mirror episode.
This is super weird. So Maya's sister gets diagnosed. Her friend Jackson and Noelle were dying.
So Maya's one of the only people without cancer, but she's taking care of everyone in the neighborhood. Like she
goes and gets supplies. She changes their IVs.
She gets stuff for the IVs.
She changes cleans their rooms. Yeah.
But then she's like, oh, this is gross. I didn't have time to clean the towels.
Yeah, or the bed sheets. Taking care of
like 12 families.
Yeah.
So school's no longer a thing because all the teachers are dead. And
she's having trouble seeing color too. She brought that up.
Oh, I didn't get that.
But I mean, I don't think it's important.
I mean, it could be if the theory is correct. I like really early on, I was like, I know what's happening.
She's still in the AR game.
Yeah,
they do bring that up. So yeah, we'll get to the theories at the end. So the rose gold pendant, she says, is what's keeping her going.
Yeah, she constantly touches it.
The blobs are multiplying rapidly. They are giving birth.
Yeah, they're just reproducing, and they're like rolling in places.
They're piling up all over the place.
She has to like run around them, and she touches one at one point, and she's like, "Oh."
She like runs with some over sometimes. After treating Jackson, she returns home to find that both her parents have passed away. And she's taking care of her little baby cousins that she cares about a lot. And they're not eating.
And they're gross because she can't bathe them.
And Maya had to drive to the chemotherapy dispensary to restock on medical supplies. And the blobs are getting bigger. They're covering the roads.
Which her sister's IV is out. Like, out. And so she's like, let me go to 12 other houses before I come bring this IV bag back to my sister. I'm like, what?
Come on, girl. I like that the dispensary, they're just like, just take stuff. she's
Yeah.
trying to fill out forms, and the lady's like, whatever, just take
We're
stuff.
the only ones left. I have cancer now, so
Yeah.
this is not gonna be open for much longer.
So yeah, the blobs are covering the roads. There's a lot of under construction signs, which makes her think about
The VR game.
the VR game.
She gets headaches.
She's taking care of the neighbor's kids.
But she's so exhausted, she can't deal.
Child services can't keep up, so they basically just leave these kids in these homes when their parents die.
Yeah.
So.
And then also, it's like, do you call someone when they're like, the crematoriums are like backed up too?
Mm-hmm.
You just have to wait for them to get to you.
I guess, unless all those people have cancer too.
No, it's like not a big deal.
How are we able to make medical supplies and buy all this stuff? If
Asking too many questions.
I know. It's in an AR unit. Okay. Maya's wondering if any of this is real, since everything went to hell after the AR birthday party.
But she's like, oh, can't think about it.
The neighborhood kids gave Maya a late handmade 17th birthday gift. I don't know. I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
And she cried.
Yeah, they couldn't give it to her during their 17th birthday.
Jelly people were blocking the path, so she had to run home through people's backyards. She gets home. The little cousins are dead, basically.
Yeah.
She goes to her sister's room, and she's like, I think I might still be an AR. And her head hurts, and she lies down next to her sister. Oh, she thinks about the AR thing because she's like, why am I not getting sick?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the center of attention because everyone else is sick and dying, and I have to do everything. Is this really what I wanted?
Just like throws food at people too. She's like, here's some campies, bye.
Yeah. So she lays down next to her sister, and then the window breaks behind her. All the blob people are pouring into the house. She tries to pick up her sister, but her sister's dead. So she runs into the garage, but there are blobs in the garage.
There's no windows. Because as she was leaving to go pick up the things, she's like, well, I'll drive there.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, there's all these blob people, and if I open and close the garage fast enough, I thought she didn't close the garage at first, because she was like, oh, I'll just be right back. But then she said, I guess they didn't close it fast enough, and so some blob people got in, and then they're multiplying.
Yeah, so she is getting consumed by the blob people.
Like, suffocates, right?
Yeah, so it's making her feel crushed and suffocating, and she's like, when am I gonna die? So she's just stuck in that limbo forever, I guess.
And the ending was really weird, because it says, Maya tried to inhale and couldn't. Hopefully this would end soon. Or would it? And that's the end of that story.
So there's another story, according to the wiki, that takes place in the AR unit, and they say that the AR unit fills up with smoke, so that's why
the blob people.
They're assuming why she's feeling suffocating is because she's still in the AR unit.
I thought she was in the AR unit like the whole time.
Yeah.
But then it wouldn't be AR, it would be VR.
100%. It's super weird.
Yeah.
Maybe the nodes in her brain, everyone just thinks she's going insane. I don't know.
She's like in a coma.
Maybe.
At that point.
They're just, yeah. So this story is basically like, oh, she's still stuck in the unit.
Yeah.
And the world's all about her. Don't make it about you. Because when it is about you, it's everyone else. I don't feel like it's about you when you have to take care of somebody that's dying. You know what I mean?
No, it's about them.
It's about them because they're dying. So, I don't know.
You only make it about you if you're like, I'm going through all of this stuff having to care for you.
Yeah.
But she wasn't like that, though.
She wasn't like that.
So that was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird message. It was a weird story. Cancer is scary, but like having everyone in the world die from it all at once makes it a little bit less scary. And then blob people. I was like,
people are the scary part.
Like, what is happening? Okay. Yeah, that was weird. Didn't like that story. Okay, I got the last one.
All right, so this is a bonus. We start with Gil grunted as he struggled to free a battered metal endoskeleton from beneath the edge of the warped wooden stage.
Okay. So Gil, Danny, and some other guy, I don't know his name, are beginning construction on the Pizzaplex. They're renovating it over the old pizzeria. It's filled with old endoskeletons, and they're breaking them apart.
And they're like gross, and like they have to like scrape them off the ground, and
yeah, they're filled with dead children bits. So,
and they're under the stage, and Gil is like, ugh, this is a lot of work. I didn't want this job in the first place.
Danny is excited though. Danny's like, wow, we get to be a part of something really big. So he's like the happy one, and then the other guy is just also there. They get a shipment of state-of-the-art animatronics, All the other animatronics on that shipment are mint condition.
Except one.
There's one that's super gross and broken.
This is weird. So Gil is part of one team, which is like breaking down all the stuff that's already there. But there's also a construction team there that's building while they're breaking things down.
Well, they thought it was weird that they got the animatronics so early.
Yeah.
They're like, we haven't even built the place yet. Yeah. Why are we getting these?
It's like, oh, it's the delivery. Are you here to sign for it?
But I mean, he's like, I'm part of the endoskeleton team, so I guess I'm signing for it because we're part of animatronics.
But it wasn't Gil that signed for it. It was some other dude.
I think it was the other guy. Right.
So there's Bryce, because Gil shows up and is like jostling this guy because he was like the head of the construction people.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Don't look it up. Who cares? Okay. So Gil takes one of the gross one. He's like, I want that gross one. Give it to me. So he takes it, he hooks it up to his laptop, and he programs it to do work for him. So he programs it to do the breaking off of the limbs and the head and to put him in a pile over there.
And this is also where we find out that Gil originally wanted to work on the robot side of it because he's never taken a class ever. He's just been playing around on his computer, but he thought that was enough experience to be in charge of their tech team.
You know the type of guy Gil is.
But they gave him the breakdown job instead, and so he thinks he's better than everyone, and so he's like, let me shortcut this. I'm going to program this robot to do our job. And they're like, oh, wow, this robot works really good.
Yeah, so it starts breaking off the limbs of the endoskeleton.
The command that he gives it's obvious what happens.
Yes, he says, I need you to break off the limbs, the arms, and the head.
Yeah, and then pull off the head and put it in the corner.
And then put it in a pile in the corner.
And he's like,
and the endoskeleton
are you sure?
looks at him and is like, okay. So he does that. Anyway, you know where this is going. The robot finishes, it goes for Gil. It rips his arms off. Gil is screaming. It takes its sweet-ass time with Gil, though.
Yeah, everyone's like, what the heck?
Yeah. And then it stops his screaming by ripping his head off and then, puts it in the pile.
And then they start to run.
It goes for the next one and, so it begins breaking off the limbs. They don't wait for the rest of the workers as they attempt to flee, ripping and tossing limbs everywhere. The one who manages to escape is Danny.
The good guy.
Because, a bunch of construction workers came in and were like, we heard screaming, what's up? And Danny's like, get out of here.
Run.
So Danny manages to escape. He begs a construction site. He finds, a cement truck. And he's like, seal off the old pizzeria's only exit.
Yeah.
Seal it. And then that's it.
That's it.
That's the end. And they do seal it. It actually, because you do security breach, you can go into the old pizzeria, but you have to
chisel out an entry.
I think you have to do a lot of work to get there, and it definitely looks like it was covered in cement before. So,
and that's it. That is Tales from the Pizzaplex, #1, Lally's Game.
Yep, that's it.
Next time,
we're reading Lord of Souls by Gregory Keyes, which is the second book in the Elder Scrolls novel book collection. There's only 2 of them. We read the first one before last time.
And we liked it, so...
So, yeah, hopefully this one's good, too. All right, see you next time.